much about the French I took, but I do know that I love you, and I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this could be. Don't know much about geometry, don't know much trigonometry, don't know much about no algebra, don't know what a slide rule is for, but I do know 1 and 1 is 2. And if this one could be with you, what a wonderful world this could be. Now, I don't claim to be an A student, but I'm trying to be. I figure maybe by being an A student, baby, I could win your love for me. Don't know much about the Middle Ages. Look at the pictures and I turn the pages. Don't know much about no rise and fall. Don't know much about nothing at all. Oh, it's you that I've been thinking of. And if I could only win your love, what a wonderful world this could be. Ah, history, ah, biology, ah, science book, ah, French I took. Oh, it's you that I've been thinking of. And if I could only win your love, what a wonderful world this could be.
Good morning. My name is Ann Richards, and I serve Mount Vernon Unitarian Church as the Director of Lifespan Spiritual Growth. Welcome to our annual worship service led by members of our Lifespan Spiritual Growth Council. Whether you're new to this community or a longtime member, no matter what propelled you to set aside this time and join us in worship, know that you are welcome here. We especially welcome our visitors this morning. You're invited to stay after virtual worship for our social hour. And if you want to be in touch with us, please send us an email at info@mvuc.org. We are a community dedicated to welcoming the stranger and working for justice wherever the heavy weight of oppression has dug into the fabric of life. To that effort, we counter the doctrine of discovery by naming and honoring the traditional indigenous inhabitants of this land, the Piscataway, the Powhatan, and the Talks or Dogue. For those of us who need live transcriptions, you can click on the button at the bottom of your screen to turn that on. Check out our Sunday bulletin for ways to feed your heart and soul on Sundays and during the week. As it is our custom, please mute your microphone and turn off your camera to allow you to move about without distracting others. At the end of the service, after the postlude, we'll invite you to turn on your camera so you can see each other and give a virtual hug and a wave. Please wait until you hear my prompt to turn on your camera. I invite you now to take a deep breath with me as we enter into this time of worship.
We light this chalice
We light this chalice
to celebrate Unitarian Universalism, the Church of the Open Mind, loving heart, and helping hands.
Some years ago, I went to a gathering of Unitarian Universalist religious professionals where the question put to us was, how are you Unitarian Universalist at home? If someone walked into your house, how could they tell that you were you? What in your daily life or activities reflects your belief? I was really surprised that so many ministers and religious educationals and professional musicians did not have an answer. Some were even offended that they were asked. Now, I am lifelong UU. My mother's family has been UU for generations. Both my parents were president of the fellowship I grew up in, twice each. My sister is a UU minister in Illinois, and on and on and on. But my UUism isn't inevitable. The nature of Unitarian Universalism is such that there's no punishment for not being observant. I will not be shunned by my very UU family if I believe what other UUs don't believe. I could ask myself every day when I wake up, do you still want to be UU? When I ask myself that on occasion, is this really what I want to believe? Is this what I want for myself? I think about my friends, many different cultural backgrounds and political beliefs and ages, and they all have this at least in common. They believe in the inherent dignity and worth of each person. I think about the movies I'm drawn to, like Stranger Than Fiction, which asks the question, why are we alive? And what do we owe each other? I think about the amazing spiritual high I get when listening to Ella Fitzgerald sing. I remember things I've learned in worship from young UU friends and students. And when I think about all of this, I know I am not going anywhere. I am UU through and through. I am UU in the car listening to Barbara's Adagio for strings. And I'm UU when I tell my daughter that she can believe whatever she wants to believe. And I'm UU when I attend Black Lives Matter events. And I'm UU when I say stupid, hurtful things. And I'm UU when I get up the courage to apologize. Unitarian Universalism isn't just for Sundays in a church building. This Sunday, Beth, Marty, Tom, Carolyn, Lila, Courtney, Jim, Catherine, our Lifespan Spiritual Growth Council are going to explore what it means to be UU at home through music, art, ritual, the spoken word, through collaboration, books, and the choices we make. Please let us begin by singing our opening hymn, number 1058, Be Ours a Religion.
Would you turn in your teal hymnals to number 1058, Be Ours a Religion? Let's sing through it twice. Words are available on your screen, in your orders of service, or in your hymnals. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works love.
When you hear the word covenant, you may think of the covenant we recite each Sunday at the beginning of worship. This morning, we are thinking about how we practice Unitarian Universalism at home. As we recite our covenant, please take this opportunity to think about whether these same qualities in our church covenant are the ones you would express if you were to write a covenant for those in your life every day, be that with a family member or a colleague or a friend. Love is the teaching of this church. The quest for truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in community, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. This is our covenant, with each and with all.
This is The Velveteen Rabbit by Marguerite Willems. There was once a beautiful velveteen rabbit. His coat was spotted brown and white, and his ears were lined with pink satin. On Christmas morning, he was the most beautiful gift in the boy's stocking. All morning, the boy played with him. Then, in the excitement of looking at all the other presents, the Velveteen Rabbit was forgotten. For a long time, nobody paid much attention to the rabbit. Mechanical toys were rude to him because he was only a stuffed bunny. But the play horse, who had been there for longer than any of the other toys and knew all about toy magic, was very kind to the rabbit. One day, the rabbit asked the play horse, "What is real? Does it mean having batteries and lights?" "Real isn't how you are made," said the play horse. "It is a thing that happens to you. When a child really loves you, that is when you become real." One evening at bedtime, the boy didn't find the toy dog that slept with him, so his mother gave him the rabbit instead. From then on, the Velveteen Rabbit slept with the boy every night. The boy would talk to him, and they would play wonderful games in whispers. The rabbit slept snug and warm in the boy's arms all night long. Spring came, and wherever the boy went, the rabbit went too. He had rides on the wheelbarrow and picnics on the grass. One day he heard the boy tell his mother, "My bunny is real. He's not a stuffed toy." That was the happiest day of the rabbit's life. After a while, the Velveteen Rabbit got raggedy from being loved so much. Some of his fur rubbed off, and the pink in his ears faded, but the boy didn't notice. He thought his bunny was beautiful. When the summer came, they played together in the woods almost every day. Then one day, the boy got very, very sick. The doctor said that all the toys in the room had to be tossed out because they were full of bad germs. The boy got better, but the little rabbit was put in a sack with other things and taken outside. The Velveteen Rabbit wriggled his way to the top of the sack and looked out. Nearby, he could see the woods where he and the boy had played. He thought of how happy those times had been and of how much the boy loved him. A tear trickled down his little shabby nose and fell onto the ground. Then a very strange thing happened. Where the tear fell, a mysterious flower began to grow. It had emerald leaves and a beautiful golden blossom. The blossom opened and a fairy stepped out. "I am the toy magic fairy. She said, I take care of the playthings that children have loved. When they are old and worn out, I make them real. But wasn't I real before? The rabbit asked. The fairy said, you're real because you are real to the boy because he loved you. Now you shall be real to everyone. In the meadow, the Velveteen Rabbit saw some wild rabbits dancing with their shadows on the velvet grass. Run and play, little rabbit, said the toy magic fairy. You are a real rabbit now. Fall and winter passed. In the spring, when the days grew warm and sunny, the boy went out to play. In the woods, he saw two rabbits peeping at him from under a bush. One was gray. The other had brown and white spotted markings and a little soft nose with bright round eyes. He seemed familiar to the boy. Why, he looks like my old bunny who got lost when I was sick, the boy thought. He never knew that it was really his own bunny returning to look at the boy who first helped him become real. The end.
Oh, I love that story, don't you?
Yes, it reminds me of how I feel about Bear and how Iris feels about Barry.
Yeah, me too. Because Bear and Barry have been loved so much that they have definitely become real, haven't they?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. And,
Whoa.
oh, love is such a wonderful gift you can give to someone, isn't it? And that is one of the central aspects of the Unitarian Universalist Church. Is that love is actually a transformational force, that you can actually change someone by loving them, right? That if you remember to look on the inside and appreciate someone for who they really are, you can set them free to really be true to themselves. And then, even if they're just a little bit shabby, they don't have to worry about it. Right, Barry?
Whoa.
It also reminds me of the MVUC covenant. Do you remember how it starts? Love is the teaching of this church.
The quest for truth is its daily task.
That's right. The quest for truth is its daily task. So the Velveteen Rabbit, he was searching for some truth, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
What was he trying to find out?
What does it mean to be real?
Yeah, that's right. And how did he go about trying to figure that out?
He asked the play horse and the fairy.
Yeah, he asked a lot of questions. And that's another part of being you, is that we don't always get told all the answers, but we can always ask questions our whole life long to try to find out meaning and try to find out the answers. And the more we ask questions and hear from people and try to understand other people's point of view, then we can figure things out. Well, thank you, Sylvia. That was wonderful.
Anytime.
And now I'd like to welcome you all to our annual bridging ceremony for high school students as they end this phase of their life and move on to another. This year we're honoring Chris Hewitt. Now, over the years, Chris has provided childcare, sat on the Congregational Intern Committee, taught religious education, been a member of the MVUC Board of Trustees, participated as an actor and singer and pianist in countless programs and worship services. This is a truly meaningful ritual for all of us as we thank Chris and congratulate him as he walks across the bridge to his next life adventure.
Throughout our lives, we pursue the force of love. And we also know that throughout our lives, we may move to different places in the country or the world. And as time and learning bring us to these changes and transitions, we take note. Today, as we come together in a loving and living community, we acknowledge a time of great change, a time when our cherished youth crossed the bridge out of high school and into young adulthood. Our young people enrich the life of this church immeasurably. They bring their own perspective to church life. They bring their own talents and enthusiasms. And sometimes they can challenge the assumptions of our older generations, and they can inject new energy and life into this church. The end of high school is a shift in life that may mean staying connected to the community and a new relationship, or it may mean an invitation for a young person to engage in new adventures away from the community. And when this happens, it can be a real loss to our community. But whatever the choice, we hope that this community is always seen as their religious and spiritual home. We hope this is a time of excitement despite the fear of change. And as they enter a new phase of life, we want them to know that we support them as they make the big transition away from high school and to something new. We will support them in their dreams and their emerging new lives. This is our chance to recognize these young adults in bridging the gap between youth and adulthood.
As you join the young adult community, we give you our blessing. Wherever you go, may you find friendship and support, challenge and success. May you grow in mind, spirit, and body. We have been honored to accompany you through your early years, and we honor you at this transformative time as you start a new chapter in your life.
I speak as a voice of our church ministry. We have tried to give you the gift of roots and wings. We hope that you will treasure what you have gained here and do your part to nurture what we have together. We bless you now with history and leadership. We care about our youth, even after they graduate from high school, and we want them to know that this congregation and the Unitarian Universalist faith will continue to welcome them and to wish for them all the gifts of growing and learning and becoming themselves. Forever our friends, we honor you at this transformative time. I invite the congregation now to please keep your microphones off, but refer to the words that are found in your order of service, and we read a congregational response led by Mark Zimmerman.
Please read along with me. We speak as the voice of the congregation. We cherished your work with our children, your time sitting with us on the Board of Trustees, and the musical talents you have shared with us. We have tried to give you a gift of a place to belong, a place of friendship and of growth. We hope that you will know that we are here for you wherever the journey may lead, and that as you deepen and grow, so too will the traditions that cherish you. We bless you now with honor for this rite of passage into adult community.
Chris, you are about to cross the bridge, symbolizing the connection from your past to your future. We give thanks for the gifts and the memories, and we offer you blessing and invite you to move forward in life with hope. Please cross this bridge, and as you cross, we give you these gifts as symbols of our faith, and that it may remind you of the roots you have grown, even as your wings take in your life into new adventures. I'll give you air hug. We are so proud. Let the celebration begin.
So as you can see, Chris's bridging ceremony was a beautiful thing, and of course, different times you'd all be here to witness outside in the parking lot with us here, the beautiful scene of the bridging service. But thank you for tuning in to be with us on Zoom. I'd just like to say Chris comes from a long line of musicians. His great-grandfather was an organist. His grandfather played with the Army Band. His dad's a great singer and helps wrangle the music for the National Symphony Orchestra. His grandmother's a great singer. He studied piano with me since he was 6.5 years old. Just unbelievable his progress that he's made in this, and I'm so thrilled to say we're watching him graduate high school and bridge here at the church. Wishing Chris all the best. Thank you, Chris.
Mount Vernon Unitarian Church continues to share the plate with committed organizations that our members have chosen. For the month of May, we will be donating to the Katie Tyson Fund for Youth and Young Adult Ministries. Created in memory of the daughter of Herb and Karen Tyson, who was killed in a traffic accident in 2009 when she was 21 years old, the fund is dedicated to kindling the sparks of leadership among Unitarian Universalist youth and young adults. It supports scholarships, grants, programs for youth, young adult projects, conferences, and community outreach, as well as attendance by youth and young adults at General Assembly and UU's Summer Seminar. We split our offering 50-50 between the Katie Tyson Fund and MVUC, unless otherwise directed by you. You are welcome to write a check and mail it to MVUC. You can also make payments via text or our church account via credit card. Information is found on the slide and in the chat box. During this time of music, we truly invite you to tenderly name in the chat box or in your heart the joys and sorrows that you hold within your heart. We especially welcome special notes to special teachers this Sunday.
You who are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach the children well, the parents' hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams. The one they picked, the one you'll know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh. And know they love you. You of tender years can't know the fears that your parents grew by. Now please help them with your youth. They seek the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well, the children's hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams. The one they pick is the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why. If they told you, you would cry. So just look at them and sigh. And know they love you.
Good morning, MVUC. From my house, which is mostly packed in preparation for our move to St. Louis, where actually when this video is showing, we will be in St. Louis and hopefully logged in to our beloved church, just to keep things normal. I bet you're wondering, why is Courtney Reed speaking to us today? I don't know. It's because Ann Richards asked the Lifespan Spiritual Growth Council to talk about Unitarian practices in the house, in our home. And I gave it a lot of thought, and I said to myself, do I have any Unitarian practices? Most of you know I'm very new to the Unitarian Universalist religion, but I have enjoyed the practices. And as I considered it and pondered, I thought to myself, you know what? We've had a new experience in our household, which contains a kindergartner, as some of you know, Josie. And that experience is, I take an art class with her. Actually, she has an art class that I crash with the permission of her teacher, thankfully. And I didn't realize exactly how much of a benefit it was to me until Anne posed this question to us. And I thought to myself, you know, we have a lot of what I call monkey mind. And that is just kind of every once in a while, things are very frantic. It's hard to get ahead of things. It's hard to, even if you do get ahead of them, it's very hard to stay ahead of them. And this practice of taking an art class once a week, and it's a half hour, it really calms us both. And we can ride that way for quite a while, and we can always come back to it on our own with the practices. So that is my Unitarian practice at home, is a mindful meditation while pursuing an artistic endeavor. It's not about product in this case, for sure. It's about process. Even though we have some beautiful things to show for it, they're beautiful to us, and they might not make it to the Met, and that's okay. I'll share a couple of the projects with you just so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. But there's printmaking, sculpture, line studies, color studies, and I think my favorite, I actually haven't asked Josie what her favorite is. She seems to like it all, but my favorite has been the watercolor, and I'm moving back here to show you that if everything in the house is packed, the one thing that's not packed is my watercolor set, because I'm taking it on the road, because I know I'll need to be mindful as we travel from Virginia to St. Louis with a camper and a trailer and a 6-year-old. So that'll be our caravan. But here's some of the work that we've done over the past year. When I'm searching through my pictures to pick things to share to this morning, it is hard to believe how much we've done this past year. It's been a long year, as you all know, and we've been a very risk-averse family, so that means a lot of at-home time, a lot of together time, which, looking back, has been wonderful for me and hopefully for Josie and Jeremy too. But I think the question is, why be mindful? And my answer is, I saw a meme the other day, and it kind of encapsulates how I feel, is that when you're stuck in the past, that can cause a certain level of depression, whether it's nostalgia even, not a bad depression necessarily, but things that you just cannot control that happened. You can only control how you feel about them right now. If you're only looking ahead to the future, which you should look ahead to the future. In some instances, we have to plan, we have to be ready, but it can cause anxiety, whether that's, being anxious about something good, like a better job or a move. You can get yourself wrapped up in it, and it can be consuming. But if you are mindful in the present, in the moment, there is a sense of control, and by that I mean self-control. There are things right in the here and now that we can manage and should, and that's a good thing that we're able to do that. And for our family, I feel lucky that I have an exercise that gets me there, gets me centered, and then I can be in control, make good decisions, and make good plans. I'd like to leave you with a task this morning. I know you didn't log into church thinking I'd have a job for you, but it is to practice mindfulness through artistic endeavor. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be sketching all the time or painting all the time. You can jump on Google Arts and Culture and lose yourself in observing art and just looking at beautiful things. But if you can incorporate art into your daily life, whether it's having a camera and taking pictures when you go on your walks, or having a marker in your hand while you're reading and just kind of making doodles of the imagery that you're reading about, or if you just have a spare moment, really grab your watercolors and you won't regret it. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you find peace in mindfulness and joy in creation.
Good morning, MVUC. My name is Catherine Fogden, and I would like to offer you this morning's prayer on behalf of the Lifespan Growth Council. I am not alone. There is a love holding me by Heather Ryan Starr. May I move gently through this cloudy, murky, gray day. May I remember that this is just one day and that showing up is at least half of what is asked of me. May I set aside my underlying anxiety that I will not get to everything and put my trust and faith onto the riverbank of human community. We are all working together. I am not alone. There is a love holding me that is unconcerned with my day's to-do list and more concerned with my spirit's survival, even its thriving in this beautiful, challenging world. May we all remember that Rome wasn't built in a day, that our efforts are part of an ongoing stream of efforts, of lives being lived beside one another, shoring up this world. May what little I do today be for the greater good. May I be gentle with others today as I long for others to be gentle with me. May it be so.
In our household, we look at recycling as a moral and ethical obligation, which we find support in the Unitarian Universalist seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. When asked to make a presentation in this service on how our family practices UUism in our household, I thought, yikes, we're not really religious at home. We don't practice rites or rituals, I thought. We don't consciously set aside time to be religious. Then I realized that our commitment to recycling is an everyday religious activity, a rite and ritual that has become a way of life in our family. Both Tamara and I grew up in California, where droughts are frequent and conservation of water by households is a necessity. If you're not a Californian, you may not be familiar with storing bricks in the toilet tank to reduce water flow, or the phrase, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. If you don't know what that means, I'll explain it to you later. We grew up with dirty cars and brown lawns because the car washes were closed and hosing off your car or down your lawn was frowned upon. And sometimes, in severe droughts, government mandated. But usually, conservation was treated as a voluntary civic responsibility and as a moral or ethical choice. That's how we approached it in our households. It was just the right thing to do for the planet. Most water conservation wasn't recycling exactly, except in cases in which we reused water, like by watering plants with leftover pasta water. Tara and I think drought conservation set the foundation for a belief that recycling, which is a form of conservation, is a moral responsibility. Of course, there were other influences. There were the history lessons shared by our parents and grandparents of deprivation and scarcity during the Great Depression in the 1930s and the Second World War in the 40s. Then there was time spent outside the big city, trips to the country to visit relatives, or summer stays at Tamara's beloved Camp Zumwalt horse ranch. There were no municipal trash pickups there, so things were used more than once, and leftovers and scraps were composted or fed to the animals. Then there were philosophical and religious messages that influenced us. Waste not, want not has been heard less in our current throwaway society, but it's true. If you use a commodity or resource carefully and without extravagance, you will never be in need. All religions seem to agree that nature is an active divinity, any way you define it, and should be treated as such. And most look for harmony between human life and the natural world. Besides there being a positive impact on the earth itself, we see spiritual benefits of recycling. We think that By thinking before discarding anything, we are consciously aware that this conscious awareness advances our spiritual growth, and tending to the earth reaffirms our place in the universe. So what do we do as a family at home, specifically to honor our Unitarian Universalist seventh principle? What are our rites and rituals? We keep a compost bin under the sink into which goes all of our compostable materials. And that bin is walked to a composting booth at the farmer's market in Alexandria City every Saturday, with occasional additional trips for excess taken to the bins at Mom's Organic Market or at MVUC. Each and every piece of scrap paper and cardboard, including our unneeded mail, magazines, and newspapers, goes into a bag in the pantry, then to the 2 big blue bins in the garage, and is picked up weekly. It's sometimes so bulky that special trips to the city recycling center are made. Now that the city no longer collects glassware, we store that in a separate garage bin and make periodic trips to the city's bottle collection recycling facility. And plastic bags, those evil things that we strive to avoid, are stored in the pantry and then carted back to the stores from which they came. All the metal we use finds its way from the undersink kitchen bin to the big blue garage bin. Our recycling isn't limited to plastic water bottles and cereal boxes and newspapers. It's recycling when we donate used items, reuse and repurpose what otherwise might go into landfill. And we participate in the buy nothing and free cycle communities in which unwanted goods are freely given to those who could use them. For our family, recycling is a whole way of looking at the world. It's not just about what we do to and with objects, but rather how we care for what is around us. It's rites and rituals that have become a way of life in our family, and the major way that we respect the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part.
My name is Beth Peebles, and I have the privilege of being the current Lifespan Spiritual Growth Council Chair. Before we begin the teacher appreciation, I want to talk a little bit about this coming fall. The Lifespan Spiritual Growth Council and staff are hard at work planning. We are coming up with plans and backup plans, thinking about the best and worst case scenarios. We are looking forward to seeing each other in person, but also taking care of those at home. I am hopeful that we will begin the transition back to our holy hill, but we are ever mindful of the many issues and concerns that will come up. If you would like to help, please contact Ann Richards, whose email is on the screen. Turning back to today, we are thanking our teachers for all of their hard work over the past year. It has been a series of plans and changes to those plans. Our teachers have adjusted their plans and schedules in order to be there for the children and youth of MVUC. Our teachers and other volunteers represent the best of our congregation. They keep going even when it is difficult. They keep teaching even if they can't see the faces of their students. They have done videos and Zooms, all trying to help our community stay connected. On behalf of Mount Vernon Unitarian Church and the Lifespan Spiritual Growth Council and staff, we would like to thank our teachers for their time. As the current chair of the Lifespan Spiritual Growth Council, I would like to thank the members of my council. Thank you, Courtney Reed, Tom Griffin, Lori Connor, Catherine Fogden, Lila Reedy, and our incoming co-chairs, Marty Braddock and Caroline Lays. We would like to thank our Lifespan Spiritual Growth staff. Thank you, Ann Richards, Director of Lifespan Spiritual Growth, and thank you, Jim Kerr, RE Assistant. We would like to thank our first semester teachers and tech assistants. Thank you, Lori Connor, Donna Gold, Bonnie Iredell, Eva Abshershantz, and Pat Drain. We would like to thank our pre-K K teachers. Thank you, Lila Reedy, Jill Russo-Downey, Lauren Antello, and Kristen Reedy. We would like to thank our first through third grade teachers. Thank you, January Tkach and Cheryl Foch. Thank you to the 4th through 6th grade teachers. Thank you, Dale Peebles, Zoe McShane, and Parker Collins. We would like to thank our middle grades, 6th through 8th grade teachers. Thank you, Glenn Sheffield, Linda Doyle, and Tamara de la Camp. We would like to thank our YRUU 9th through 12th grade advisors. Thank you, Nanette Davis and Byron Peebles.
Hi, I'm Marty Breddick, and I have UU at home by putting into practice one of the most important aspects of liberal religion and UU to me, which is the freedom to decide for yourself what you believe and how that might even change within your life. Because in our family, my son Julius has now decided that he wanted to belong to a religious community that was Christian. And so that doesn't cause a big strife. In fact, we support him. We want him to be free to follow what his heart and his mind and his spirit says is his religious community, even if it isn't UU. But I really think of that as being one of the most UU things there is to have the freedom to choose what you believe and what you think is right, and to have your own personal conscience and search for truth and meaning. And that is how I and our family use UU and put it into work in our home.
Would you turn in your teal hymnals to number 1054, Let This Be a House of Peace. Words are also available on your screen or in your orders of service.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I like blowing out candles. I like it.
A reading from Brother Matthew O. Richardson. Sometimes we can get a little backwards, he said. We send our children, we send individuals, we send ourselves to be educated in the church building. And then we come home and we take off our church clothes as fast as we can. Rather than being simply a place to go on Sundays, church should be a place of rejuvenation and an opportunity for individuals to attend and leave recharged to go and live their faith in their homes.